I'm Andrew G, and this is Showtime. My next guest has toured Australia with Bell Shakespeare's The Players and Romeo and Juliet, and we've seen her on TV as Kate Vella in Home and Away. But today she's chatting to me about her latest show, The Last Train to Madeline. Welcome, Ruby Maishman.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
So The Last Train to Madeline, that's a brand new work. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. My little pitch to everyone when they ask what this show is about. I don't know if you've seen the film Past Lives. The beautiful Korean film about it's a beautiful Korean film about the two people who grew up together as children, and they're sort of as teenagers have this little romance, and it then tracks their journeys through university. Her move to America, he stays in Korea. These two people who grow up together, and we see scenes when they're 8 years old, when they're 17, and then when they're 23. So it's this beautiful chart of their lives, their childhood, their teenage years, and it kind of tracks how their relationship survives or whether it survives. That's up to you to decide.
And Ruby, do you play the same character throughout the show, or do you play a particular age of one of the characters?
I play all three characters, all three ages.
Yep.
And my scene partner, Eddie Orton, he also plays the three ages of the male role. Yeah.
That must be a really challenging thing to do, to just sort of think about the world in a sort of a different age, maturity mindset.
Absolutely. What's cool about it is that this character is actually my age. So there's a reference to it being 2005 when she's 8 years old, and I was 8 in 2005. I, graduated high school in 2015, which is when those scenes are set, So that's been quite a good little hook in. But, I was looking up how 8-year-olds sort of talk and how they speak, and I've done a little bit of teaching work before, teaching primary school age kids. 8-year-olds are really articulate. They're really, really articulate. I mean, anyone who's met an 8-year-old will know that you can have a genuine conversation with them and not have to sort of baby them or talk to them like they're little. And I sort of just YouTubed a couple of 8-year-old kids, and this one girl was talking about her soft toys, but she was talking about her soft toys in such a way that was like perfectly articulate, very, very astute, very clear, very adult. So, I mean, in a way, I don't know really how much 8-year-old acting I'll have to do, because 8-year-olds are smart.
Hey, speaking of, you've done Shakespeare, you've done Home and Away, you're doing brand new Aussie works. I mean, that's a pretty broad spectrum of work. How does it feel to be sort of jumping around in all these different worlds?
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, look, I feel like, with the way that arts is in this country, having funding, it can be really, really tough to get shows up on their feet. So I have so much respect for the people that are doing that, like Callum and the whole team at Fever103. But I guess I feel for what experience you do get to have in a professional theatre show or on set, you have to really take the reins and just jump into it. So that's kind of why I'm like, anything I can get, anything I can do, I will do. And similarly, putting on your own stuff. Like at the end of last year, I put on a play just with my friends in a warehouse down the road. And it was, hard work, but it was so rewarding. And do we make much money? No. Did everybody in Sydney see it? No. Did everyone in Melbourne see it? No. It wasn't this huge thing, but it was, so heartwarming and fun. And so, yeah, I guess I just have a lot of respect for the people that are making things happening in this industry. And so I will jump onto anything and everything I can. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it is. It's really, really hard to get funding. It's really, really hard to get audience. It's really hard, when with cost of living being what it is, it's hard to convince people that the thing to do is to spend money on buying tickets to the show, yet we keep doing it. And people keep coming out and supporting the arts, which is awesome. Exactly.
And they always will, because we turn to the arts when, we don't know where else to go.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, Fever103, which is the producer of The Last Train to Madeline, is all about new works and indie venues like 45 Downstairs and Meat Market and Northcote Arts Centre. It must be exciting for you to be able to introduce that community and new audiences to new Aussie works.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, it's very, very exciting. I remember when I heard about this play, it was actually during the year that I was doing the plays with Bell Shakespeare, and my colleague, who's a very good friend of mine, who's also from Melbourne, he was like, "Oh, I've got a mate who's just written a play, and he's sent it to me to read, and it's so beautiful. It's a two-hander, and it's just like this big sort of cathartic piece." And I was like, "Oh, wow, interesting." Not kind of real, not even considering that I would ever be able to go up for it. You know what I mean? And so the full circle moment of then I got chatting to Callum, the writer, and he was like, "Come and audition," and I was like, "Oh, God, okay," and I was like, "Wow, this is that play," and that was from 2 years ago, and it also just goes to show that these things take years and so much time and heart and effort, So I'm very, very proud of Callum and the whole team, all the producers, Hayden, the director, and yeah, I guess honoured to be able to bring their work to audiences. Yeah.
Yeah, having done a lot of TV, you, not me, having done a lot of TV and film and live theatre, what is it about live theatre that's so different for you as a performer?
I think my favourite thing about it is that there's that irreplaceable in the momentness of it. I obviously love working in TV and film and all that kind of stuff, but you get to just go again and go again and go again if you muck up a take or whatever. But with theatre, you don't. And I just love that. I just love that when you walk out onto the stage, like it is just, there's this responsibility on you to, make the show happen, drive the show forward. And the excitement that I feel, knowing that things could go wrong, knowing that the audience might hate it, knowing that you might forget your lines. I don't know. I love that. A lot of actors will, obviously we get stage fright. That's not to negate that experience because it can be really scary. But I've learned to kind of love the excitement of the live theatre, the live element of theatre, and not knowing what's going to happen.
Have you ever been in a situation where you've been on stage, there's been an auditorium of people staring back at you, and you thought, man, if only I could do that again. If only I could have another take. If only someone called cut.
Absolutely. But in saying that, with theatre, you get another night. You can come back to it tomorrow night, or you can come back to it in the evening show, or you can, usually. So absolutely. But also that's the game. It's like, oh, I didn't quite hit tonight. I'm going to try again tomorrow. Or, you go back the next day and you look at your lines and you go, what am I missing? I'm missing something. I didn't quite hit that moment. I didn't quite feel that. Like it's a game, and it's more of a marathon, I think, than the TV and film piece where you're like, only working on a scene for 2 hours and then you leave it and it's in the hands of the editors. Whereas with theatre, you're on that thing for for us, it's about a 10-day run, which is relatively short, but some shows you're like 6 weeks to sink into it.
But some people love, previews like Last Train. There are going to be a couple of previews from the 18th of June. But some people love to come to previews because it's a cheaper way to see the show. But some come to see it because it's not quite fully cooked, and they love, if the mics fail, or if there's a lighting glitch, or if someone forgets a line or forgets a bit of blocking. And that really, I think, for some people enhances the live theatre experience when those things happen.
It's because it reminds you that you're sitting in a theatre and you're watching people do a thing in front of you, and you're not behind a screen where you can press pause, and there's something just so, it's magic. I seriously think it's magic. There's something magic about that transaction where there's people on stage living something and you're there witnessing them. And if they muck it up, or if something technical goes wrong, what's going to happen? I love that. What's going to happen? Something will happen. One of my movement teachers used to say, something will happen. And it's just that trust that, they always say you fall to the level of your training when things go wrong. Something will happen, you'll figure something out. I just love it as an audience member. It's so, I do it. I always go and watch my friends' previews. Yes, it is cheaper. That's absolutely motivating me to go to previews, but it's exciting. And as an audience member, when you're there for that and you're supportive of that, it only helps the actors on stage because they feel safe to kind of, get on with the show,
And there is a lot of trust, isn't there, Ruby? Because there's the performers on stage and remembering your lines and your blocking, but there's also the stage crew and the stage manager and the lighting and the sound and even front of house, making sure that the audience are in on time and settled and seated and not on their phones. And I mean, there are so many things that could go wrong. That's part of the thrill, isn't it?
100%. I think the assistant stage managers and the stage managers and the techies, they become your best friends, especially when you have to do quick changes, or, you know, you have to kind of change the set pieces or reset props, or, you know, all that kind of stuff. They can absolutely become your best friends because they, you know, will need to help you and be there for you. And, you know, I've never been let down by an assistant stage manager, not ever. They're pretty good people.
They're awesome. Yeah, look, stage crew, assistant stage managers, absolutely. They are, it's a bit cliche, but they sort of are. They are the unsung heroes of live theatre.
They are. They're the backbone. Yeah. They're the backbone.
Yeah. The Last Train to Madeline, presented by Fever103 Theatre, opens on the 20th of June. It only runs to the 29th of June, but there are a couple of previews, I think, from the 18th. Is that right?
That's right.
Or did I just make that up? No,
No, you've got it.
For tickets, fever103theatre.com.
Yeah, and you can find a link on their Instagram as well, and my Instagram.
Ruby, thank you so much for the chat. Shook us for the season, and looking forward to seeing you on stage.
Thanks very much, Andrew. It was so good chatting with you. Cheers.